Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday version of Gentle Movement at Home. I am Jen Hansen from PNBC and joined today by Neil Pearson. Just a reminder that Neil isn't able to answer any specific questions about any medical conditions, and we encourage you to speak with your healthcare provider if you have those concerns. We will take questions at the end that have to do with this session and any movements that you're wondering about. We're recording this session. It will be available on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. I'll launch a poll as per usual at the end of this where you can give us your feedback and tell us what you thought of the session. At any point, if you need help, just put your question in the chat. Or, again, if you have a question for Neil, put it in the Q&A. We're seeing Neil again on Friday, so we'll look forward to that at noon. And we've got some more sessions lined up, but I think they're on our website, although they're not in the slides. So do check out our site if you're wondering what's up for next week. All right, Neil, I will stop there and hand it over to you.
Great, thanks, Jen. And welcome everyone. So today we're going to do most of the movements in standing. I'm starting sitting, and you can do that. I'm going to come to standing in just a moment. If you can set yourself up in a place where you're standing on something solid, I'm going to be standing on a yoga mat. Maybe you're on your carpet or something at home. I'm going to place the chair beside me and use it for balance as well, just because we'll be doing some things in standing balance towards the end. But you can have it right beside you. And of course, at any time you want to sit back down again, you can just sit back down and rest if you need to or want to. And if you would prefer to do what you can from a seated position, you'll be able to see pretty easily which one of these are perfectly fine to do from a seated position. So as we suggest in all these, what we'd like you to do is to guide yourself through noticing what's happening inside, through noticing the messages that we think give us a bit of a guide as to how hard we should push when we're exercising in terms of pain. And so knowing that, of course, that these guidelines that we use of asking yourself the question, am I safe? Will I be okay later? Can I keep my breath calm? Can I keep my body calm? Can I still sort of pay some attention to the pain, but not too much and not too little? Now, all those things will give you a good guide as to how hard to push, or sometimes to answer the question of how much pain or how much pushing is okay in the midst of an exercise. So try to find that place of that kind of challenge. So one other thing that's important to always remember about this is that if you have a condition, say rheumatoid arthritis, or say you have osteoporosis or things like this, you really should be talking to your healthcare professional about an assessment of what's happening in you, so that you can find, probably would be some movements that you might hear is, yeah, that's not the right movement for you to do based on what's happening with you. And we can't sort out that through here. So please make sure you talk to a health professional about that for your, to assist you in recovering as much movement as you can in the best way. So I'm going to come to the standing, but you can stay in the seated position if you want to. And I'll just put this right here, and I can use it there for balance as I'm going along. So what I'd like you to do is to start, and you need to let your arms rest at your side, or you can cross your hands together, or maybe you want to put your hands on your belly, or even your hands over your heart, wherever would feel best. I'm just going to let my hands hang at my sides for right now. I'm going to slow down my breath. And so that's what I'd like you to do, is to start to make your breath a little bit longer. The idea here isn't to make your breath really deep. The idea is to make it last longer. So you're slowing it down. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to feel like you're really breathing a ton of air. You're just slowing down your inhale, slowing down your exhale. And maybe for you, it would feel good to make it like a wave. So you breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out like a wave form. So you're making your breath longer, and you're also making your breath smoother. So if you've not tried this before, you can smooth out the sound of your breath. You can also smooth out the feeling of the air as it comes in and the feeling of the air as it goes out. So you're making your breath longer, slowing it down, savoring it, but you're also making it smoother, smoother sound, smoother feeling of air coming in and out, or maybe a smoother movement of your body. If you can feel how your body moves while you breathe in and feel how your body moves while you breathe out, you can probably feel parts of your body sort of expanding a little bit as you breathe in and then relaxing as you breathe back out again. And so go ahead and regulate that a bit. I know a lot of times we start these sessions with just awareness of noticing, but for right now, jump right into changing it a little bit. Make it a bit longer, make it a bit smoother. And if you can, make it softer as well. So the idea of softness would be if your mind was gripping an idea too much and you wanted to release that or soften sort of that gripping that we can do mentally. Or the same thing in our body. If you ever can remember a time, or maybe it's happening right now, where there's a muscle that's tense and you want to just let that release a little bit. So you do that with your breath. So you make your breath longer, smoother, softer. Right. Now, as you do this, you're standing here. So you've got your breath longer, smoother, softer. So you divide your attention now a little bit. So you can feel your breath is longer, smoother, softer. You can feel your feet on the floor. Try to get the weight sort of even right and left. Try to get the weight even front and back on your feet. If you can feel your toe mounds, and that big toe mound, you can feel that pushing down a little bit. You can also feel the outside of your feet, a little toe mound, and so try to get it sort of even from the inside to the outside of your feet, as well as right to left foot, as well as front to back. And that's a lot to do, but give it a try. Longer, smoother, softer breath, and finding that just sort of right balance in your legs and your feet. All right, so remember, you can sit down anytime you want. You can pause anytime you want. If you're doing okay with that, then what you can do is stick with it. If you've paused, pause, recapture what you need, and then come on back when you're ready. So you've got the longer, smoother, softer breath, and you've got the weight on your feet. Now scan through your body. So start at your head today, and notice, are there muscles that are holding on with too much tension? So scan through the muscles around your forehead, the sides of your head, and the top of your head. And notice if there are any muscles that are holding on too much. And if they are, see if you can get them to release a little bit. And do the same around your face. So notice what's happening between your eyebrows and around your eyes, and your cheeks, and your jaw, and your mouth, and lips, and tongue. And as you're breathing longer, smoother, softer, as you're feeling your feet sort of balance on the floor, you're releasing any tension around your face that you don't need right now. And then do the same thing around your neck. As you breathe longer, smoother, softer, as you feel your feet on the floor, release some of the tension you're feeling around your neck. And if you do notice as you're going through, you might notice that you feel like, hey, maybe I need to change my position. So if you're standing here, your neck's a little bit like this, and you can feel the tension of the muscles in your neck working, feel free to bring yourself up to a better position. Actually, let me correct that a bit. Up to a position where you feel like there's less tension in your muscles, where you feel like there's less effort to be here. So you've got longer, smoother, softer breath, and you've got your feet on the floor. And now notice what's happening around your shoulders. If there's any muscles around your shoulders that feel like they're tense, let go of some of that tension. Do the same thing through your upper arms and through your forearms and your wrists and hands and fingers and thumbs. Just notice. Amazing how sometimes we notice gripping in muscles that we really weren't paying attention to, or didn't notice that that's a part of our body we tense with. And stay with that longer, smoother, softer breath if you can. Remember, you can pause, you can move your feet around, you can sit down, you can recapture your breath, find that right position again. And just continue scanning through your body. Notice through your torso, the front and the back and the sides. If there's any muscle tension that you want to see if you can let go. That place between our shoulders is often a place where we feel tension. Sometimes we can feel ourselves tense around the abdomen. or tense in the low back. You don't need to let go of all the effort. If you can feel muscles that are tight, you want to just make them a bit softer, make them a bit softer. You don't need to let them go all the way. You still got that longer, smoother, softer, and you can still feel your feet on the floor. Notice around your pelvis, the right and the left and the front and the back. And see if you can notice the muscles that are inside. Notice whether they feel like they're tense. It'd be hard to feel that, but give it a try. And then around your hips, around your thighs, if you notice any muscles that are tight, stay with that longer, smoother, softer breath. Keep yourself in that sort of balanced place. Release any tension that you can. Down through your thighs. If your knees feel like they're locked, see if you can find a bit of softness there. Calves, shins, feet, toes. So the idea of doing this is to try to find a place from the beginning where you can bring things into a calmer state. So as you may have heard me mention before, there's this idea that we have through science. It's not just an idea, it's an idea, and we've got some science to back up the concept that when there's more evidence of safety, then there often can be less tension. It can change the chemistry of our body and potentially help us have less pain. So more evidence of safety, often we get less pain. And by breathing in a calm way, by releasing muscle tension, we can help to sort of bring things to that calmer state. And so then we can move with more ease. That's part of the idea of this. And then of course, if we can move with more ease, we can do it in a way that actually that changes chemistry even more, that will get us even better benefit. So now we're going to start into some movement. So make sure you feel like your feet are in a nice spot. You can have them underneath your hips or a little bit wider if you want to. If you tend to stand with your feet heading out towards the side, just see if you can bring them a little bit more parallel, but if that does not feel right, find a comfortable spot. Find a little bit of length of your spine, let some relaxation happen in your shoulders. You know, you've got longer, smoother, softer breath, and you've got that sensation of muscles of your body aren't gripping too much right now. As we go through this, I'm going to keep getting you to come back to noticing what's happening with your breath, noticing if your body's starting to get tight. And then if your breath isn't flowing or your body's getting tight, we'll work a little bit on releasing them. So we'll just start with a gentle movement with your arms. So turn your palms so they're facing a little bit towards the front of your body. And as you breathe in, just lift your arms up whatever feels good. And as you breathe out, let your arms come on back down again. If it feels good to reach them right up to the sky and feel that reaching right from your toes all the way up to your hands up there, then do that. If your shoulders and back aren't okay with lifting your arms all the way, then don't. Just lift them what feels good. And so as you're doing this, we're going to do a repeated movement. You lift them up and you lift them, bring them back down again. Notice two things. What's happening with your breath? Does it start to hold? If it does, maybe that's saying try harder to keep your breath going, or maybe don't lift your arms quite so high. Play around with it a bit. And if you feel like you're doing this and muscles are starting to get more tense, you can pause and let them release a bit with movement or breath, or you can keep on going and work on it. Work on doing your best to make those muscles relax a little bit more. So you're going whatever height feels good. You're keeping your breath flowing. You're paying attention if your muscles are getting tight and trying to keep them soft. If you're not sure how to get muscles to get softer, you can pause to do that and shift around, or you can imagine creating a sensation of breathing right into that muscle, or as you breathe out, releasing tension. Or even just thinking it's okay to let go. Sometimes we can work through the mind that way as well. So when your arms come back down next time, just shift your shoulders around a little bit, shift your legs around a little bit. And this time we're going to come up and ask you to take your arms to the spot where you feel like you can stay. So maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's all the way up towards the sky. You choose the spot where you feel like, all right, I can stay here. I can keep my breath flowing. And I'm checking in. Do I feel safe? I feel like I'll be all right later if I keep doing this. Doing my very best to keep my breath flowing. Very best to get my body from not getting too tight. Obviously, the muscles are working to have my arms up here, but I don't feel like they're starting to grip. Like there's something saying it's time to stop. And if there's any pain or tension or discomfort, just noticing what's happening here. Not paying too much attention, not paying too little. And then come on back down again. Come back to, as your arms come back down, come back to a longer, smoother, softer breath. If the muscles of your body are feeling tight, notice the ones that are tight. Breathe into that area. Release in that area while you breathe out. Send that message, it's okay to let go. Do a similar thing with our neck. Bring your chin down to your chest. Come on back up again. Now I said down to your chest, but you actually don't have to get it all the way to your chest. Just take your head forward to a spot that feels like there's just right amount. So from the side, I'm keeping this part of my body still. I'm just coming down to that just right spot and coming back up again. I've just put my hands here so you can see I'm not doing a lot of this while I do it. Right, so it's just chin down and then chin back up again. Now, just like with your arms, what you want to do while you're doing this is notice what's happening. If you feel like your breath gets tight and starts to hold as your head comes down, maybe don't take your head down so far. Maybe don't push so hard. Or you can work on doing your best to breathe more smoothly. The same idea as muscle tension. As you continue to do this movement, if you feel like things are getting tight, you can pause, you can stop, or you can not go as far. Or one of the other things you can do is continue to go the same distance and work sort of harder or try more to actually get the muscles to release. Because sometimes when we do that, we start to figure out how to get the muscles to release better. And then pause. Now remember, or if you've not been part of these sessions before, know that you can pause before I stop. You don't have to wait for me. If something is saying that's enough, just pause. And remember, you can put your hand on the chair, you can sit back down, even lay down if that's what you need to do. All right, so this time when you bring your head forward, bring your head to the spot where you feel like that's just the right amount. So bring your head down, where you say, yep, that's the spot where I know I can stay. You've got your longer, smoother, softer breath here. You're asking yourself, am I okay? Will I be okay later? Can I keep my breath calm? Can I keep my body calm? What's happening with the pain? Now you can stay here, or you can take your head back up, or if you'd like a little bit more, you can put your head on the back of your hand on the back of your head and just draw yourself down into just a little bit more stretch. But keep on following those ideas. Does this feel safe? Do I think I'll be okay later? What's happening in my breath? What's happening in my body? And then release that tension if it was there. If your head's still down, bring it back up again. If you want to shift things around, go ahead and do that. Take your shoulders up towards your ears and bring them on back down again. And we'll do this movement back and forth. So longer, smoother, softer breath. Noticing if you're tightening your breath, and if you are, do your best to keep it flowing sort of like a wave with the movement. If the muscles are getting tighter and tighter, do your best to keep them or to get them to let go more, or pause if that feels like the right thing to do. And in terms of how high up you go with your shoulder blades, just take them to where it feels like the right thing to do. So from the side, it's just this movement. I'm not trying to pull them down. I'm just working on pulling them up. And now the next thing to do is take them up to a spot where you feel like that's a place where I can stay. I can feel the effort of my muscles. I can feel my breath. Sort of balanced on my feet down there. And then if your shoulders are still up, let them come on back down again and let them pause and rest. If it would feel best to move them around, do that. Come back to that longer, smoother, softer breath if you lost that. If the muscles are still tight, maybe release them a bit more with your exhale. Maybe send that message, it's okay to let go. Come back to your neck again. This time you're going to take your head over to the side. So your spine's going to stay still, and just take your head to the side. And then come on back up again. So again, I'm just putting my hands here so you can see my spine staying mostly still. If you want to do this, you can, so you can notice that you're not doing that big movement. So body staying pretty still, you're moving your neck on top of the rest of your spine. Just into the right spot, back up again. I'm keeping my breath flowing. I can feel my feet on the floor. I can notice the muscles are getting tight and let them release more. And then pause. And then try the same movement this time. Find that just right spot. So take your head down to the side. Find the just right spot where you feel like that's a nice stretch. Spot where I feel like it's easy to smile here. I know I'll be okay if I stay here, or I believe I'll be okay if I stay here right now. Keeping my breath flowing, keeping my mind focused on what I'm doing, paying attention to the pain, but not like this much attention to it and not no attention to it at all. And then come on back up again. We'll try the other side. It's the same idea. Take your head down to the side to the just right spot. Your spine stays still. Put your head to the side. Find that just right spot where you feel like, yeah, I keep doing this. And while I'm doing this, I'm not holding my breath. I'm keeping my breath flowing in and out. Doesn't feel like the muscle tension is building up. So you may need to modify how far you go. If, by the way, while you're doing this, you're feeling like, I don't know if I'm safe, well, that's when you can ask those other questions. Well, do I think I'll be okay later? Can I keep my breath calm? Can I keep my body calm? If you start to get the feeling like, I'm really just not sure, then what we would suggest to you is to modify the movement. So if you're feeling like, I just don't know if it's safe, then go to a spot where you're more sure, a spot where you feel like, yeah, I think this is okay for my body. I don't have a sense that this is going to leave me worse. I don't have a sense that this is taking my body to a place where it feels fragile. The idea is you're taking your body to a place where you feel like, well, doing this, I think my body might actually be able to get a little bit stronger if I keep on doing this, healthier if I keep doing this. All right, so you're back to the center again. Come back to your breath. If your muscles are tight, do a little bit of work to release them. If you're doing okay, come on back into the side tilt and find that spot to stay. And so if you want to with this, you can take your hand up to your head and you can just draw it down a little bit more. Or you can just do, if you do this and you feel like that doesn't feel the right thing to do, then just do it with your hand down, just head to the side. And then come on back up again. And just let your head relax a little bit. Move your shoulders around a little bit. Remember, you can sit if you want to. All right, so we've been going slowly. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here, but you want to keep on following these ideas. All right, so we're going to do more movement with the shoulders. This time, we're going to pull them down. So your shoulders are here. Your spine is tall. You can feel that longer, smoother, softer breath. Draw your shoulders down and just let them release. Draw them down, let them release. So it's not a big movement. You're drawing your shoulder blades down your back without doing this. Draw them down and release. Notice what's happening with your breath. Great. Now, next time you go down, draw them down to that spot where you feel like I can stay there for a breath or two or three. You can feel your breath coming in and out. It's not getting too tight. The muscles are working, so there's some effort in the muscles, but you don't have that sense that they're just going to keep on being too tight if you stay there. You can still feel your breath. You can still feel your feet on the floor. You can still pay some attention to your pain, but not too much. And then let that release come on back to the center again. All right, so we're going to move on to doing some neck twist or neck turning. So again, keep your body pretty stable while you're doing this, or in midline. So we're not going to do a lot of movement with the rest of our body right now. So your spine is tall. You've got longer, smoother, softer breath. And turn your head and look over the left shoulder just to where you feel like that's enough. Then come on back to the center and do that a few times. Only so far as it feels okay. So it might just be this kind of movement. Right? You may feel like that's not very much movement. That's okay. Stick with what feels like it's safe. What feels like if I do this amount of movement, I'll be okay later. Because you get so much good chemistry when you can move without making things worse. And when you can move without making things worse, you can help the body become healthier again. The next time you go over that side, you're going to take your head to the side and take it to that just right spot where you feel like, yes, I can stay here. There's a bit of a stretch. I feel like I can keep my breath calm. my body calm. I can pay attention to pain. The idea is don't be in a place where you feel like the only way you can stay is to ignore the pain. And you don't want to be in a place where the only thing you can think about is the pain. Both of those are probably an indication that you've gone too far. So that's the idea of paying some attention to pain, but not too much. If you're still there, come on back to the center. If you want to shift things around, shift them around. Then try the other way. Start with that repeated movement. So you turn and look, find the spot where you say, yep, that's far enough. And maybe for you, the far enough spot might be feeling like it's stiff or tight, or it might be a spot where you say that's where the pain gets a little bit more. So whatever is that first thing that you feel that says, yeah, maybe that's far enough, just go to that place and come on back. If your breath starts to get tight, try to do your best to keep your breath going. And if you, with your best effort to keep your breath sort of coming in and out in that smooth way, if that can't happen, maybe don't go so far. And if you're noticing the muscles that you're using to pull your head around starting to get more and more tense, do a little bit of work to see if you can get them to relax a little bit more or not have so much effort. If that doesn't work, then modify what you're doing. All right, so then one more time over to this side, but find the spot where you can stay for a few breaths. So go to that just right spot. You can feel your breath coming in, going out. You can feel your feet on the floor. You can feel the muscles that are working. You can feel any pain or tension or discomfort and noticing what's happening in that. And then come on back to the center again. Pause for a sec. Maybe it's best to have a seat back down again. Maybe you feel like, oh, my knees were straight back like that and you need to soften them a little bit more. And go ahead and do that. Now come back to longer, smoother, softer breath again. We're going to come down and do a little bit of work with our legs. So now you might want to use the chair. Have your hand, the chair in a place where you can put your hands right on it to the side, if that would feel like the best way to go. If you're okay without putting your hand on the chair, you can start there. Or you can put that chair right in front of you and put both hands on the chair to give yourself lots of stability. Right? So whatever you feel like you need for this. So I'm going to do it just with my hand resting on the chair, so you can see that for now. So longer, smoother, softer breath. First thing I'm going to do is lift my leg up to the front this way and put it back down again. Right, so from the side, it's this movement. So what I'm trying to do with this is not a whole lot of this kind of movement. I'm trying to keep the rest of my body still and just lift my leg up and put it back down again. It's okay if your body does a little bit of this. It's all right. But see if you can focus the movement here for right now. See if you can say, this is where I want to get my body to move. And I want to sort of control the movement that way. But know that it's perfectly fine if other things happen. All right, so you've got longer, smoother, softer breath. You can feel the tension around your hip. You lift your leg to the front, you put it back down again, whatever distance would feel good for you. So even small movements are perfectly fine. If you feel like lifting your leg out straight isn't the right thing to do, you can certainly lift your knee like this. It's more effort to lift it out like that. So find the right amount of effort. If you notice yourself holding your breath, do your best to keep your breath flowing in and out. If you feel like the muscles are starting to not release the tension, you can let your leg down, pause, see if you'll let go, and maybe say that's enough, or maybe regroup and come on back again. And then try it. You're going to try it with a bit of hold. So there's a little more effort than the things we were doing around shoulders and neck here. So lift your leg up, whether you're lifting it with your knee bent or your leg straight. Just come out to a spot where you feel like, I can stay there for a couple breaths, I think. I feel safe. I think I'll be okay. And doing my best to keep the rest of the muscles of my body from getting tense. So notice what's happening on your face, in your jaw, in your neck, in your shoulders, even that foot on the other leg. If your leg is still up, if you feel like that's enough, then bring that leg back down again and shift your weight around and give it a little relaxation. We'll try the same thing on the other side, just lifting up and down, keeping the rest of your body mostly still. Even here, noticing what's happening in the tension around your face, around your shoulders. Just lift up, back down, to that just right amount. It might be a small movement, it might be a larger movement. You get to decide. The idea is to try to find that just right amount of effort. Great. Now, if you're still going, put your foot back down for a moment. Sort of pause again. Regroup, let the muscles relax, come back to that longer, smoother, softer breath. And then you're going to do your very best to keep that breath flowing while your leg is up. Here, or if it's here, whatever feels like the just right spot. Longer, smoother, softer breath. Am I safe? Will I be okay later? Can I keep my breath calm, my body calm? And then let your leg come on back down again if it's still up there. Give your hips a bit of a shift around. Great. Put your hands beside your body, and we're going to do a side bend with your torso at this time. So you can have your hand there if that feels okay. For this one, I'm not going to. So I start with the breath, longer, smoother, softer breath. Slide my hand down my leg. Find that just right spot, come on back up again. Slide my hand down the side of my leg, come on back up. Now, if you're doing this, you feel a little tippy, what you can do is pause, get your feet a little bit wider, because that'll help you with your balance a little bit if you want to. Or if you felt tippy, put your hand back in the chair. Right? Find the right thing for you to do. So you slide down, just go to that just right spot and come on back up again. Slide down to that just right spot. Now you notice that I'm keeping my head pretty much in line with my body. Sometimes as we do this, it feels better to look down. Sometimes it feels better to look straight ahead. Depends on what's happening around your neck. Sometimes it even feels all right to look up. You can, basically the idea is try to find the best place for your neck while you're doing this. If you want a little bit more stretch, you can take your arm up and reach it across your body while you do this. So you get a little more stretch to the other side of your body. If you try that and it doesn't feel like the right thing to do, then you can have your hands even on your hips, or just still have your arms down at your sides. You get to choose. But you can feel that your breath isn't getting too tight. You can feel that it still flows in and out. You're not holding with your breath. You're not holding with your body. You're not feeling that the pain is building and building. If you're still doing that movement, come on back up again. And this time we'll do the side bend, find the just right spot. So slide your hand down your leg. Find the spot where you feel like, yeah, that's a nice stretch. If you feel like you want more, you can take that arm up to the sky. You can take your arm and reach it across your body. Whatever you do, you're just trying to find that just right spot. You can still feel your breath coming in and out. It'll feel a little restrained because you've got this pressure on the left side of your body. If you're still here, come on back up. Give your hips a bit of a shift around. Your knees a little bit of a bend, and then we'll try the same thing on the other side. So side bend down to the side. If your feet feel like they're a little too close together, move them apart. Side bend down, come on back up, find that just right spot. Now you can see the speed that I'm doing this, and you don't have to do it as fast as this, or you can do it faster if that feels all right. The idea is just to do the movement. Feel safe while you're doing it. Challenge yourself the right amount. But maybe the best challenge for today is to fully move in the area that feels good. You can still feel your breath flowing. So if you start to feel like your body is getting tight as you do this, maybe modify how hard you're going, how far you're pushing. Or maybe try even more times, or somehow find more effort to let the muscles stop from gripping. And then next time you go down, find that just right spot. A place where you feel like, yeah, if I stay here, I'll be all right. Longer, smoother, softer breaths. It's a little bit harder when you're side bending. And if you want more, you can take that arm up, or you can take the arm across your body to get even more stretch. Remember, there's perfectly fine to have your hand resting on something for your balance if that feels the right thing to do. And then come on back up. If you're still there, let that arm come down if it was up. And once again, give your body a bit of a shift around. Come back to our legs again. So this time, what you'll do is you'll probably want to have your hand on a chair at this point, feet a little bit wider apart. And take your weight over on top of your right foot. Take your left leg across the front of your body and then out to the side, across the front of your body, then out to the side. So you can see as my leg comes out to the side, I bend a little bit to the side, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to keep your body still and just move at your hip, that's okay too. The idea here is just to work the muscles around your hip a bit, move your hip a bit in a way that feels like, yeah, this is okay. I can feel some effort here. I can feel some challenge here. Maybe I can feel some tension or discomfort or pain. It doesn't feel like it's building in a bad way. It doesn't feel like I'm going to regret this later. If it does, maybe it's time to say, well, that's enough right now. If you are still going, then pause. You should do this same idea, but this time when you bring your leg out to the side, find that spot where you're going to stay for a few breaths. So shift your weight over onto the right leg. Use the chair for balance, probably best for this one. Just take your leg out to the side. You can feel your breath and you can feel that foot and you can feel your spine a little bit long. And you lift your leg out to the spot where you feel like that's enough. With some effort here in my hips, some effort in my back. I can feel my breath. It's a little bit more work to do this, but it's still keeping it mostly smooth. There's more muscle effort, there's more tightness in my muscle, but it feels like kind of muscle effort that's all right. Doesn't feel like that too much gripping. And notice what's happening around your face and your shoulders, even the toes of the other foot. If your leg is still up there, bring it on back down again. Give your hips a bit of a shift around. And what you're probably noticing as soon as you brought that leg back down is how much that other hip was working. So it's another thing to watch while you're doing this kind of a movement. So do the same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna move forward a little bit so I don't kick the chair. So weight comes onto my left leg. My spine is tall, longer, smoother, softer breath. Leg across my body, move to the side. Finding that just right amount of movement. Knowing it's okay for my body to tilt side to side just a little bit. Knowing it's okay to go to a spot where there's a little bit more pain when I do that. It's a spot where I feel like, you know, I'm all right going there. And it's hard to know that. It really is hard to know that at first. It takes some practice. It takes some trials. That's why you want to try to move into this with kindness and gentleness and patience. It's so hard to be patient sometimes, but after pain's been around for a long time, I want the movement to loosen up right away or more quickly than it is. All right, so next time you bring your leg down, put it back on the floor. You probably once again notice how much the other leg was working while you're doing that. So when you take the leg back up again, if by chance you happen to have discomfort or pain in the left hip, left pelvis area, left lower back area, pay attention to that as well, but not too much. And that's the idea, is to pay some attention to it, but not too much attention. So hand on the chair, feet a little bit further apart, weight over onto my left leg. I'm just going to take my leg out to the right side this time. So maybe this is as far as I go. I can feel that left foot on the floor. It's pretty, weight is pretty even, front, back, inside, outside. I can feel the length of my spine. I can feel my breath, longer, smoother, softer. I'm lifting my leg to that just right spot and feel like, yeah, I can lift my leg a little bit higher. I'm all right here. I can feel the effort in this hip, in the left hip, and in the right hip to do this. It feels safe still. I can feel that my body's not really getting tense around my neck or my jaw or my face. If you can't keep your breath flowing, if your body starts to get too tight, that might be a message that now is a good time to bring that leg back down again. So put the leg back down again, give your legs a bit of a shift around. We're going to do one more movement with our legs from this position. So I'm just going to move the chair into the center of the mat. And this time we're going to do leg to the back. So I'll put both hands on here. I feel my breath and I feel my feet and I feel that length of my spine. Say, yeah, this feels like this will be an okay thing to do. I'm going to lift my leg just to the back and back down again. As you do this, you can see I'm leaning forward a little bit, getting a little bit of arch in my back. I'm just going to pay attention to what's happening in those areas. I'm doing my best not to hold my breath. I'm doing my best not to let my body get too tight. As I'm doing this, I can feel the muscles around my right hip. Because I've been doing these other movements, I can feel those muscles are starting to get tight. I can feel the effort here in my back. So I'm just checking in, see how it's all doing. So I'm noticing these things, but not being too vigilant of them. Just noticing what's happening. So if things start to change, I'll know that they're changing. I'm not noticing because I'm so worried that anything new is going to happen and that I'm fragile and it'll be easy to provoke something with this. All right, so this time I'm going to lift my leg back. I hold it back there. I feel that foot. I feel my breath longer, smoother, softer. Doesn't matter how far you're lifting that leg up. The toes could be resting on the floor or they're up off the ground. I'm at a place where I feel like I can stay here a little bit longer. Yes, there's some effort, but not too much. I'm not getting too tight around the face. If your leg is still up, bring it on back down. Give your hips a bit of a shake around. We'll try the same thing on the other side. So weight comes onto the left foot. My hands are on the chair. I've got that long spine, longer, smoother, softer breath. Weight comes over on the left foot. Just lift the right leg back and put it back down. Lift it back, put it back down. As I do this, I can feel right away, I've got more movement in this hip than I had on the other side. Easier to lift it up, takes less effort. Just noticing this is different from one side to the other. As I'm doing this, I'm doing my best not to tense up parts of my body that I don't need to be using to do this. If that's happening and I can't let it release, it's probably time to pause. Next time I lift my leg up, I'm going to hold it there. Longer, smoother, softer breaths. I can feel my foot. I can feel the effort of around my left hip, left low back, right hip. Am I safe? I think I'm going to be all right later. Keeping my breath as smooth as I can. Keeping effort in my body that I don't need to hold my leg up at a minimum. Checking in to see what's happening with any tension or discomfort or pain. And knowing I can stop anytime I want. I can keep challenging myself, or I can let my leg back down when I feel like that's enough right now. So if your leg was still up, bring it on back down again. All right, now come back down to a chair. So you can do this still from standing if you'd like, or you can come back into a seated position if you want to from there. But I'm hoping that you can find yourself into a chair for right now, because it'll help you release some of the tension. You've been standing for a while, using the muscles around your hips. So what you'll probably feel that when you sit back down again is you can feel the muscles around your hips, and your thighs, and your low back. You probably can feel that sensation like they've been worked some. And this is an important thing to check in with, because a lot of times when we move areas of our body or use areas of our body where there's been pain for a long time, anytime we use those muscles at all, there can be an increase in pain. And one of the questions we want to ask ourselves has to do with the kinds of things we've been doing here is, well, were the movements that I just did safe for my body? Because it's normal to feel things are tighter after you've used them. But it's also possible that when pain is persisting, that the sensation of pain that we feel after we move, if it's, there's a sensation of pain that we might be getting because the body is misinterpreting things. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, but I know at some points in my life I banged my thumb really hard. If I touch the skin close by, it actually sort of hurts to touch my skin. It's not dangerous to touch my skin, but the nervous system is more sensitive and it's misinterpreting things. And sometimes that can happen after we stop an exercise. So what you'd want to do if you stop and you can feel the muscles around your body where there's been pain, if you can feel things are a little bit more tense, or if you can feel like there's a bit more pain, is ask yourself the same questions you've been doing. Was that safe? Do I think that was safe for my body? And then from there, move into, let's see what happens if I calm my breath again. So for right now, come back to longer, smoother, softer breath. By the way, and for right now, if you're sitting away from the back of the chair, if you can, lean against the back of the chair, let the muscles really relax. Come back to longer, smoother, softer. And maybe create a sensation that when you breathe in, you're breathing into those muscles that have been worked. And when you breathe out, as you let go with your breath, let go of the muscles in that area. If you can feel some tension in those muscles as you're breathing longer, smoother, softer, in your mind, you can say, it's okay to let go. Maybe for today, we'll try one other bit with this. So as you breathe in, say to yourself, breathing in, I smile. And as you breathe out, say to yourself, breathing out, it's okay to let go. So breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, it's okay to let go. And as you do that, scan through the rest of your body. Notice the muscles around your head, around your face, your jaw, mouth, ears, neck, throat, shoulders and chest, torso and abdomen and low back. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, it's okay to let go. Do the same thing around your legs, thighs, knees, lower legs, feet, toes. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, it's okay to let go. So if you're okay with softening your gaze or closing your eyes, do that. And then just for the next few breaths, check in, see how you're feeling. Notice what's happening with your breath now. Either notice what it feels like to breathe longer, smoother, softer still, or to let your breath be. Notice what's happening in your body. Any tension, discomfort, or pain, notice that. Notice what's happening in your mind. Notice what's going on with your thoughts right now. Notice what's going on with your emotions right now. And then if there's anything that you want to remember from this practice, so find a way to park that information so you can come back to it later. If you've done these classes before and you've experienced this before, maybe for next time, if you're finding things that you want to remember, just have a piece of paper and a pencil there so you can quickly jot down a couple notes. So then you can come to, in a moment, Jen's going to bring the poll on, and if anyone has any questions, we can address those. It's back to you, Jen.
Thanks, Neil. It was very relaxing at the end. I almost drifted off. Yeah, so everyone can see the poll is up, excuse me, and we'll just give you a few minutes to fill that out. That would be great. And again, if there's any questions about that practice, just pop them in the Q&A. We'll just give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll end today's session and look forward to seeing you on Friday, Neil. Can you give us a preview of what we can expect on Friday? Have you got anything planned yet?
I haven't actually planned yet, so let's start the plan right now. Let's. I think what we'll do is we'll go between a seated position. We'll do some stretches and things in sitting, and then we'll work on some balance things in standing. So let's. So seated, more flexibility, warming up, and then we'll come to some more effortful, maybe a few balance practices on Friday.
I love balance practices.
All right.
Quite a lot of fun. One thing, Neil, I wanted your opinion on this. you know Sue, of course, very well. She's a colleague of yours, Sue Schilling. And one thing, so she's instructed the last 2 classes, and one thing she's talked a lot about is having fun. And
Yeah.
you like using movement as a source of joy. And I just thought that was a really neat perspective because, you know, when we're kids, moving is really fun. Like that's one of our primary sources of entertainment, right? And then I kind of forget sometimes that it can be such a fun thing to do. I wondered what your perspective was.
Well, yeah, my perspective is exactly that, and that's what people in pain tell us. And so I would say there's sort of 2 primary paths to go with. One is just to do movement that's more fun, right? To approach movement that is more fun and to actively work on having more fun with it. Then the other approach is to, what we did today, is learning how to move with more ease. Because if we sort of learn how to move with more ease and we get an idea of, you know, when I move within this, I can challenge myself here and I know I'm okay later, then it's easier to have fun while we move. So you can sort of go by having more fun with the movement, you're releasing chemistry within the body and the brain that can change the amount of pain that we have with movement. And that's obviously a really, really good idea. So that could actually make movement more easeful. Yet there will be some people who will say to us, you know, I can't have fun. It hurts too much to move. So, okay, so let's work on increasing ease of movement and then bring the fun in sort of later. So, and I think that's the thing that we need to recognize. Sorry, Jen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's more than one path that we can go through, and so yeah, those would be sort of 2 of the paths we could use.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah.
To get your thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, you can really imagine that there's some people that would look at us clinician, right? The clinician who looks healthy in front of you saying, oh, we just need to have fun while we're moving. And the person saying, you're nuts. You really don't understand, right?
Yeah.
Yet the person does understand. So we just need to find the right thing, because sometimes when we say to people, you know, this is what happens when you have fun with movement. And some people are like, oh, I've never tried that before. Let's give it a go. And other people just don't have the experience that would say that would actually work. And so we sort of build over here to allow the person to come back. Because in the end, I think what you're getting, where we get to with this is, the point is to find a way to live well again, right? To find a way to live more well. It's not the right language, but you get the idea, right? So the whole idea of being able to move better is so that we can live better. And so that's where we want to get to in the end.
That's great. Makes total sense.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone for coming today. Just so great to see familiar names. And we hope to see you later this week. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.